I see. So now you tell me,
Yeah.
whether or not you want to audit, but you tell me, what's your plan to stem corruption?
First, it's about leading by example. And when we talk about leading by example, it's not just the president. The president and the people around the president and political appointees. That's the first thing. If I were president, no political appointee will have protection or safe haven in cases where they are cited for corruption. It's a zero tolerance for corruption. Obviously, we know that zero tolerance is...
Yeah, someone told us that before.
Yeah, well, but someone told you, is that me? I'm somebody...
Look, I mean, the point I'm making is you'd have to convince the Ghanaian people.
But what I'm saying is that, look, I'm telling you about what I will do and my record. I've never been corrupt. I am not corrupt, and I'll never be corrupt. So my record is clear. And it's not just about me. I'm making sure that the people around you clone how you perceive things to be. So I cannot speak for others. I'm talking about what I would do. I'm saying that those are the two important things. But it just goes beyond just leadership by example. Mm-hmm. It's also making sure that there's deterrence through punishment. I mean, if people can get away, even when they are indicted for corruption, with sentences that can only convince them to come back to do the same thing, then that cannot be a deterrence. So we have to review the regime of sanctions and penalties for people who are cited for corruption. If you go into jail for 50 years...
50 years for corruption?
I'm saying that if you were going into years for that, then now you see you are surprised.
Yes, and again, I was going to ask what would be more punitive.
Yeah, so but I'm just saying that we have to review the penalty and sanctions regime for people who are cited for corruption. Then we also have to look at our institutions that have been established to fight corruption. Let us see whether they have the resource base, to be able to fight corruption. Let us also look at the laws and regulations, our procurement regulations. Let us audit all those things. And then we will be making a headway.
Again, the argument will be that if Alan had all these great ideas, was he holding back on the Akufo-Addo administration?
I keep on coming back to this point, that if you have executive authority and at the highest level, then you can make decisions and follow through execution.
Is that to say that your recommendations, some of them were not adhered to, your advice on how to do things?
No, I can't. I don't. I'm finding it difficult to understand the import of the question.
Well, I ask you why, if you had these great ideas.
No, because corruption is not about Minister of Trade and Industry.
And it's not just corruption, it's everything.
Everything,
some of the great ideas you're putting in your transformational plan.
So I've played my part, and I've said that you can see from my record that with the limited resources available to me during President Kufuor's regime and during President Kufuor's time, I've had a distinguished record. But I'm saying that if I have the highest level of executive authority, I will do much more. So basically, that's the difference.
No, it seems to me you don't want me to go there. What I'm asking is, for instance, on the issue of taxation, when the Ghanaian people were agitating about how overtaxed they felt they were, people wanted you to speak about it. We didn't hear from you.
No, but when you say you didn't hear from me, I don't make official statements about taxation.
People wanted you to distinguish yourself at that point, not when you're disgruntled with your party.
No, but I'm not sure I understand you, because maybe you've not really understood how politics works. You are in a government. Do you think it is fair or even sustainable? You have a process for decision making from one sector to the other. It goes through cabinet. Decisions are made. And then you come out and basically you are speaking against the same things that have been collectively agreed. I don't think
but
that's
again, the argument would be that knowing that there was a lot of corruption, knowing that some of the actions that were being taken were not helpful for the Ghanaian economy. If you had stepped aside then you would be more believable now.
I'm sure you have not closely followed my narrative in
Right.
politics. If you have, you would not say what you're saying. I mean, I'll give you one example. The economy got to a point where everybody in this country was complaining. Yes, everybody was complaining. And it got to a point where the general thinking was that we may probably have to go to the IMF. Mm-hmm. The Minister of Finance, who has responsibility for making final decisions, of course subject to cabinet on that matter, had indicated that we will not go to the IMF. If you check, I was one of the few senior members of government who insisted that our economy had gotten to a level where if we didn't go to the IMF, the economy would crash in weeks. I came out openly to defend that, but that was after that decision had been made. I was probably the only member of government who had the courage to come out and defend why we went to the IMF. But I didn't come out before just to take credit and then say that, I'm asking government. It doesn't work that way.